Political demons. Part of something larger than ourselves. A new world order.
Good evening. More than 72 hours after hackers hit TalkTalk, we still don't know the extent of the security breach that may have affected more than 4 million customers. But what is clear is that the hackers increasingly seem to be ahead of the game where the protection of personal data is concerned. Credit cards, bank details, personal preferences. TalkTalk's CEO has admitted the company doesn't know if the information was encrypted. According to one security expert, samples of financial data which appeared to come from TalkTalk customers has been spotted for sale in cybercriminal forums on the so-called dark web. Here's our technology editor, David Grossman.
For TalkTalk, this couldn't be more serious. The data of 4 million customers potentially lost. To whom and for what purpose, well, that's unknown. Also unknown, how much of the company's reputation has gone with it. TalkTalk CEO isn't even attempting to put a positive gloss on this one.
The amount of data that these criminals have been able to access is very large. So making sure that I properly understand exactly what has been taken is one of the big priorities for me at the moment. And I don't want to give a false impression of confidence where I don't have it, which is why we've taken that decision to assume that the worst case is that all of our customers' data has been accessed and by definition therefore was in one way or another unencrypted. I don't know that that is the case, but I actually think it's the prudent thing for our customers and for us to assume that that is what happened.
TalkTalk say that the information lost could include names, addresses, dates of birth, phone numbers, email addresses, TalkTalk account information, credit card details and perhaps bank details too. Or, to put it another way, more or less everything.
The reality is that data has value. I just authored a report called The Hidden Data Economy, which talks about what happens after a data breach. And we've managed to track, in many cases, data being stolen, repackaged, and then sold on underground market forums. And, criminals, and, let's be honest, these are criminals, have basically taken millions and millions and are making millions from data that has been stolen from organizations.
It appears that the hackers used two different techniques to unlock TalkTalk's defences. The first, a distributed denial of service, or DDoS attack. In effect, they inundated TalkTalk servers with connection requests. It meant the network was unable to cope and real customers couldn't get through. But this, it appears, was just a smokescreen, a diversion, because while TalkTalk's engineers were frantically trying to get to the bottom of that attack and get the network running normally, a data grab was going on. But this was carried out using a pretty basic and very well-known technique called SQL injection.
Found a database, hasn't it? Should we hack that one?
Yeah, I hacked that one.
You want to hack that one? Okay.
In fact, to demonstrate just how simple this type of attack is, a security blogger has posted a video demonstrating that even his 3-year-old son could mount a SQL injection attack, because all the expertise needed is available in pre-packaged apps.
Can you find the tables in that database now?
It has been available as a tool for cyber criminals and hackers to use for a long time. And the evolution of these sort of attacks using SQL injection have also evolved into the cyber criminals and potential hackers. They are now able to actually download applications that will conduct the more sophisticated things for them in a SQL injection attack, and then they'll just start the application, type in a potential IP address or a potential domain, and then the application would actually take care of the rest for the attacker.
If this is how TalkTalk's data was compromised with such a simple and well-known trick, well, it could be the most embarrassing part of this episode for the company. Today, they would neither confirm nor deny these reports, only say that the police are investigating. Also investigating is the Information Commissioner. This is TalkTalk's third data breach in less than a year.
If you're holding personal information, it's a very valuable commodity. There are lots of people out there trying to get hold of it, and it's your responsibility to put in place procedures and measures to make sure that you hang on to it. And if you don't, you're in trouble with the Information Commissioner, but actually you're in trouble with your customers. This is the fastest way to lose business. If people don't have confidence that a company is going to look after their personal information, then they will shop somewhere else.
We've got statistics that show the number of customers that lose trust in an organisation and then ultimately leave. It's regarded to be somewhere between 3 to 5%. Now that's quite a significant impact on TalkTalk.
TalkTalk has confirmed that it has been contacted by someone purporting to be the hacker demanding money. It's not clear if that claim is genuine. So much uncertainty and confusion for the company and its customers. But with our lives lived increasingly online, tonight perhaps everyone should feel a little less secure.
David Grossman. Well, I'm joined now by Lauri Love, who's wanted in the United States for hacking various agencies, a charge he denies. Lauri Love, good evening.
Hi.
So what agencies are you charged with hacking?
The subject of the extradition warrant, I think, includes the Federal Bureau of Investigation, NASA, the Federal Reserve Bank, several US Department of Defense agencies, and possibly a few others that I don't recall.
But you're confident you won't be extradited?
Well, I hope that the court will make the right decision. It's legally problematic because this extradition request has only become because the Crown Prosecution Service declined to press a charge, and that was on the basis of insufficient evidence. So I'm in the awkward position of facing dire consequences for not being guilty enough. And
well, let's talk about TalkTalk now. So what do you think actually happened with TalkTalk?
I suspect that the reason we're hearing about this is because the number of people affected, but it's not extraordinary or special. I suspect, and I possibly have some intelligence that's been passed to me regarding this, that they used a very simple tool, as was alluded to earlier, that performs this SQL injection search. If you get the parameters right, then the information just kind of drops into your computer.
So would you have thought that a company like TalkTalk would have had a much more sophisticated defence?
In an ideal world, I don't want to give TalkTalk too hard a time because companies get hacked on a daily basis, and some of them are more sensitive and bigger companies than TalkTalk. But if you've been entrusted with 4 million people's private information and banking information, then you have a responsibility to be a safe custodian of that.
Well, on that very point, Dido Harding, CEO of TalkTalk, said that she actually didn't know whether the information was encrypted. Are you surprised about that?
I mean, I have to give her credit for being honest and not trying to downplay it and saying we have to assume the worst until we have more information, but she should have been able to rule out the worst from the offset because she should have known that there were procedures in place that meant that if somebody had access to information, it was encrypted and they couldn't use it. The fact that she doesn't know that means there's been a lack of due diligence in that department.
Well, that's on the basis of that, then, a simple thing like encryption, should we all be asking if our information is encrypted?
I would, in an ideal world, there would be a better regulatory environment where if you entrust your information to a private company, then that's on the basis of informed consent, and they can tell you, we store it safely, we use these encryption mechanisms, these password hashing mechanisms, and that way people know what they're signing up to.
Two things to ask about regularity. Is it common not to be encrypted?
Sadly, it is, and there have been recommendations going back to the 90s telling people to do this, but it's taken so long for the message to get through. It's usually only after a hack that people say, oh, we probably should have.
Well, I mean, TalkTalk say they've been hacked several times. Do hacks happen all the time?
Yeah, so I'm sad to say that the Information Commissioner will deal with a compromise if they get reported. Most hacks go undetected. Of the hacks that can become detected, most go unreported.
But tell me then, do you think that personally and through companies, most of us have actually been hacked at some point?
I would say that pretty much everyone that has signed up their personal information to a website has had it compromised in some way.
Now, you know, we all thought years ago that it was just kids in bedrooms hacking.
That used to be the case. I mean, there didn't used to be money in it, so it was mostly bored people that wanted to explore the systems. They would play pranks. It wouldn't hide consequences. Nowadays, it's serious business, and there are organised crime rings.
And of course, Dido Harding said that there's been a ransom demand put out. We heard from another computer expert that there's it's a kind of Eastern European base. What do you actually know about the kind of people that are involved in the TalkTalk hack? The kind of people. people, not the people.
I suspect it may not have been as organised as people are making out, but the problem is somebody can monopolise on a hack, and they can try and get some money by claiming to take credit. Other people will try and take credit for their cause or for their ego. Threat attribution is notoriously hard, so we don't know.
But we hear more and more now about the dark web and actually the criminal elements involved in the dark web. You know, what is the dark web?
I mean, the dark web, I prefer the term the deep web. So
Yes.
the shallow web is what's visible from the outside, what Google will index and what you can search for. Everything that's a little bit harder to get to is the deep or the dark web, and that might require software like Tor to access, or you might have to be a member of a forum.
I mean, let's talk about what companies need to do. Do they need to hire people like you? Tell me about what the hackers are all saying just now.
Hackers are saying, I mean, I'm friends with a lot of people that, for example, Lultech hackers that have been through the legal system. They're now working with companies to improve security. It would be preferable if people didn't have to spend 5 years in prison before their talents were being harnessed, because we all have something to gain from a more secure system. We are all vulnerable to our data being compromised.
But you were at a hackers group tonight. What kind of people are there? I mean, they're high-level people.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Hackers House, and it's a startup community, and it's aiming to do that, build relations between the people that have found themselves maybe on the wrong side of the tracks, but have a lot to contribute, and to make the businesses that need that talent less wary and apprehensive about working with them. So it's about building that bridge.
And what kind of people are there?
So some people, so for example, my friend Mustafa, who was in Lultech, a few other people that I've known for a while.
Government people?
There's involvement from the Chancellor of the Exchequer. They've given funding for a 5,000 square metre space in Manchester to build a hacker space to get people in, to play around with technology, but to then direct them to positive contributions.
Lauri, thank you very much indeed. Hurricane Patricia, one of the strongest storms ever recorded, is about to hit the coast of southwest Mexico.